Hey guys, Kev Egan here. Welcome into another episode of Around the ICC European Edition. And on this week's show, I'm going to tell you about a spooky Sunday in October that'll give Liverpool and Man United fans nightmares for a long time to come. We've got the winners and losers of the transfer window and the top USA performers on an historic weekend for the red, white and blue. It's all to come right now. It didn't seem like too long ago that Liverpool were winning the Premier League with an 18-point cushion. Now, on that very same day, the final day of the season, Aston Villa were scrapping and eventually somehow surviving the drop. These two sides met over the weekend, yet it was Aston Villa that hit Liverpool for not 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, yes, but 7 goals against Jurgen Klopp's team. Now, I know the Reds were without Alisson, who was injured, and Sadio Mane, who tested positive for the coronavirus, but Villa were absolutely brilliant. Ollie Watkins, the signing from Brentford, with a first half hat-trick. Liverpool conceding 7 goals for the first time since 1963, the first champion to ever concede 7 goals. Hard to believe, it really was, but credit has to go to Aston Villa, and credit has to go to Tottenham Hotspur. It wasn't just Liverpool shipping the goals. Man United shipped 6 at home at Old Trafford against their old boss, Jose Mourinho. You just couldn't make up this wild and wacky Sunday. Son, Harry Kane, they were all absolutely brilliant, and Ndombele as well. Every player for Tottenham Hotspur stood up. Man United actually took the lead in this game, but Spurs were brilliant. And now Ole Gunnar Solskjaer and Manchester United under major pressure already. Anthony Martial was sent off in this game midway through the first half. A turning point, it has to be said. It was a bad day for him, but he's had better days against Spurs. That brings us to our ICC memories. We go back 15 months to a meeting between Manchester United and Spurs over in Shanghai. The score finished 2-1, and it was that man Anthony Martial on target. A lovely finish, and it had all the fans there in attendance absolutely buzzing to see the Red Devils pick up the win. Back to the Premier League, and 4 second half goals gave Chelsea 3 points against Crystal Palace. They huffed, they puffed, they eventually blew Roy Hodgson's side down. Still no Premier League goal for Timo Werner, although they did welcome in their new saviour. Edouard Mendy got the start, kept a clean sheet in goal for Chelsea as well, and the returning number 10. Great to see Christian Pulisic coming back into this game. Looking forward to seeing him in action a lot more this season. As for Manchester City, could they go and have a good weekend after a somewhat rocky start for Pep Guardiola's team? The answer is no. Held 1-1 against Leeds. Pep's compatriot Rodrigo doing the damage, so good result again for Bielsa and Leeds. Finally, Everton 4, Brighton 2. The Cafeteros bringing the party to Goodison. Mina, James Rodriguez, absolutely brilliant, as was Calvert-Lewin. Again, continues to score for Carlo Ancelotti's team. A look at the standings then in the Premier League. Everton perfect, as are Aston Villa. Leicester's surprise, beating at home by the hands of West Ham came as a huge shock. It means they drop slightly. Arsenal's narrow win against Sheffield United sees them 4th. Spurs and Chelsea continue to climb after poor starts. And speaking of poor, the Manchester boys are languishing in the bottom half. Over in Spain, there's only 4 sides that remain unbeaten, and it just so happens that they're the top 4 from last season. Real Madrid, 3 wins and a draw to start their title defence, and I'm not quite sure I'm convinced about Los Blancos just yet. They continue to rely on the heroics of Thibaut Courtois. 4 huge saves in this game, a deflected effort that he somehow managed to kick away. Goals came early and they came late for Zinedine Zidane's men. Vinicius Jr. in back-to-back games, the Brazilian with a world-class finish in the first half, and then Karim Benzema wrapped it up in stoppage time. Real Madrid hang on to beat Levante on the road. Barcelona won, Sevilla won. 2 giants of Spanish football. First, I have to say, my big takeaway here is Serginho Dest. First American to play for Barcelona, coming in with 15 minutes to play. You love to see it. Anyway, 2 early goals, and then both sides nullified each other. I'd say it's probably the quietest I've seen from Lionel Messi in a long time at the Camp Nou. Sevilla's keeper, Yanis Bono, man of the match. The Ronald Koeman era is over. The wins stop and Barcelona finally concede a goal in La Liga this season. I'd say both teams, though, given that they're unbeaten, are happy enough with that result. Atletico Madrid, shame on you. A 6-goal game a week ago. You tease us like that, and then you go and hand it back to us with 2-0 draws. First Huesca, now Villarreal at home. Not one shot on target against Villarreal. Not one single shot on target. And I expect more from João Felix, from Luis Suarez, and the attacking players you have in this team. For me, look, you're still unbeaten. It's Atletico Madrid. I should expect this, but when I go out of my way to back you guys to go and win La Liga, I expect you to beat Huesca, and I expect you to put some shots on target and go and score against Villarreal at home. 4 points dropped for Cholo Simeone's men this past week. The table looks like this. Real Madrid top. Real Betis second after a win at Valencia. Barcelona and Sevilla are climbing, and Atleti, who have only played 3 times, find themselves in 12th place. Now to the Bundesliga, where Bayern Munich, Borussia Dortmund and Leipzig hit 4, but in very different games. First to the thriller at the Allianz Arena in Munich. 7 goals, with 6 in the second half, back and forth between Bayern and Hertha, but only one team had Robert Lewandowski. 4 goals. Yes, 4 for the Polish hitman. Chris Richards made his first start, the American. Huge congratulations to him. Not only did he get his start, he had an assist as well for Lewandowski. Lewandowski had the penalty to win it in stoppage time and coolly slotted it away. Borussia Dortmund lost to Augsburg last week, so they can be fairly unpredictable. But over the weekend, they tore Freiburg to shreds. Massive credit, man of the match performance goes to you, Gio Reyna, the young American superstar, still only 17 years of age. Not 1 assist, not 2, 3 assists in this game. 2 for Erling Haaland, who had the 2 goals and 1 assist as well. Sensational performance from Borussia Dortmund. Leipzig, as mentioned, also hit 4 against a poor old Schalke side. And it's Julian Nagelsmann's side that sit top of the Bundesliga table now. And Bayern and Dortmund just 1 point behind. We jump across to Serie A, where we had an extremely rare debacle over the weekend between Juventus and Napoli. Napoli set to travel to Turin to take on the old lady. They didn't go. 2 positive coronavirus cases with Elmas and Zielinski. There was talk of local authorities as well as the team being concerned by an eventual outbreak, because Napoli played Genoa last week, who had an entire outbreak across their squad. Really concerning here. Juve played up that the game was going to go ahead, even though they knew that Napoli never even left Naples. So fascinating developments there. As to what happened on the pitch, Atalanta. Everybody loves Atalanta, and rightly so. This team continued to produce absolute miracles on the field, given what their budget is. The equivalent to a mid-table championship team. Yet they score 5 goals against Cagliari over the weekend. 5 different goal scorers. Folks, I'm going to tell you now, Sam Lammers came across from PSG. Watch him play. A new superstar in my mind for Atalanta. So, Gianpiero Gasperini and you boys continue to do the business. Watch out Liverpool. Atalanta coming for you in the Champions League. AC Milan are top of the league after a 3rd straight win. 7 goals. 0 conceded, all without Ibrahimovic, Çalhanoğlu, Romagnoli, Rebic, in fact 6 starters. Pioli has done a phenomenal job for Milan. Lazio and Inter Milan played out a 1-1 draw, and this one was one for the Oscars, if anything. Immobile sent off, Stefano Sensi later sent off. Goals from Lautaro Martinez and Milinkovic-Savic. Not a classic by any means, that's all I've got to say, and this is what Serie A looks like right now. Don't these standings look refreshing? Atalanta and Milan, perfect so far. Get on the Atalanta bandwagon. You know you want to. This week's ICC 11 focuses on the young stars from the weekend that was. And I'm saying young, being 23 or younger. So here we go. In goal, Donnarumma from Milan kept a clean sheet in a 3-0 victory. At right back, it's you, Chris Richards. An assist on your first start for the European champions Bayern Munich. Centre back, Jules Koundé, 92 touches, more than any other centre back playing against Barca at the Camp Nou in the last 15 years while playing for Sevilla. Pau Torres for Villarreal held Atletico Madrid scoreless. You've got Suarez and João Felix, yet they couldn't even put a shot on target. get a shot off for that matter, basically, against João Torres. At left back, Ben Chilwell, first goal and a clean sheet for Chelsea. Centre midfield, Ndombele was superb for Tottenham in a rout against Manchester United. Gio Reyna had 3 assists for Borussia Dortmund. Rafael Leao, 2 goals for Milan in that 3-0 win. Ollie Watkins, 23 years of age, coming across from Brentford with a hat-trick in the first half against Liverpool. Phenomenal. Erling Haaland up front, scoring 2 goals, 3 assists for Reyna in that very game. And then rounding out on the other side of the wing, we have Vinicius with goals in back-to-back games for Real Madrid. Now, because we're going through a golden era of young US men's national team players starring for major clubs over in Europe, we are going to have this segment each and every week. Last week, Josh Sargent was the best player for the men's national team over in Europe, so I've got my 5 through 1 power rankings for the US MNT. Here we go. In at number 5, a token shout for Christian Pulisic. Brilliant to see him returning to action in the Premier League and rocking Chelsea's number 10. At 4, John Brooks with a towering performance for Wolfsburg in a 0-0 draw with a good Augsburg team. At 3, Serginho Dest makes his Barcelona debut, 15 minutes to go in a game, 1-1 with Sevilla. The Europa League champions, Dest looked really good too. You had Conrad de la Fuente on the bench as well for the US men's national team. 2 players for Barcelona alongside Messi. Mad times. In at 2, Chris Richards, first start for the European champions Bayern Munich in a big game as well against Hertha Berlin. The assist for Lewandowski in that game in what was a dramatic 4-3 game for Bayern Munich. And in at number 1 this week, no question about it, it's Gio Reyna, 17 years of age, making it look easy for Borussia Dortmund. 3 assists in this game, absolutely sublime performance. So Gio Reyna picks up the number 1 slot this week. Alright guys, we now know what the Champions League groups look like, so I've picked my top 3 favourite groups to hone in on here. And we're going to start with Group D. Yes, the group of death. Okay, we'll go with that. Liverpool, Atalanta, Ajax and Midtjylland. This for me is the tastiest group. Liverpool start with a trip to Amsterdam to play Ajax. Now, the last time they played there in Europe's top competition was back in 1966, famous year for England. But on that day, it was an Ajax team led by the legend Rinus Michels, annihilating Bill Shankly's Liverpool 5-1. Can't see that happening again. Although, Aston Villa just over the week. Anyway, Ajax selling the likes of De Jong, De Ligt, Van de Beek, Ziyech and now Dest. I'm not so sure they're going to be able to compete with an Atalanta side and a Liverpool side this good, but you never write off the young Ajax players coming through, that's for sure. Atalanta may go and win this group. I love this team under Gianpiero Gasperini. They were so close to reaching the Champions League semi-final, losing out to PSG in the final minutes of that game over in Portugal. I think Atalanta are set to make a really good run, and they're actually better this season than they were last season. Next up, Group G, Barcelona, Juventus, Dinamo Kiev and Ferencváros. Ferencváros, aside from Hungary, bridging a 25-year wait to be back in Europe's top competition. But anyway, back to the big 2 we go. Barcelona and Juventus. What do we think about in those 2 teams? Obviously, it's Weston McKennie up against Serginho Dest, right? No, it's not really, let's be honest. It's Messi against Ronaldo. They've never met in the Champions League group stages before. This a very first time. They're getting to the end of their careers, guys. I hate to say it, Ronaldo. Now what, 35 years of age, Messi 33. It's going to be absolutely special to see these 2 greats go at each other, arguably the 2 best of all time, but they now play for coaches and teams under reconstruction. Ronald Koeman in Barcelona, Andrea Pirlo and Juventus. Next up, I have got Group H. PSG, Manchester United, Leipzig and Istanbul Başakşehir. Ridiculously tough draw for Manchester United. Make no mistake about it. Man United will want to try and do well in this competition, even though they can't really do that well right now in the Premier League. But the Champions League, they'll have their eyes firmly set on that. But getting out of this group won't be easy. You've got the last two teams from the semi-finals of this past Champions League campaign in Leipzig and in Paris Saint-Germain. PSG obviously going to the final. And you've got Istanbul Başakşehir, a very talented side with the likes of Vişça, Demba Baz, someone the Premier League fans will know. And they won the Turkish league just this past season. So a really tough draw for all teams in that group. But I would absolutely pick PSG and I'll go with Man United to get out of the group. Why not? Here we go, transfer window, winners and losers. Let's kick it off on the positive side, shall we? Let's go with the winners. In at number 3 for me, I'm going Tottenham Hotspur. Here, when have we ever said that about Spurs and a transfer window? But when you really think about this team now under Jose Mourinho and how well they're playing and the team that he's building, and then you bring in Gareth Bale, who I think has a point to prove. We all know that. And he loves Tottenham Hotspur. You bring in Sergio Reguilon, who has been fantastic for both Real Madrid and in particular Sevilla, winning the Europa League. You bring in Matt Doherty and you bring in Højbjerg as well. I think this is a fantastic looking Spurs team with the talents they have further forward now of Bale, Son and Kane. Mourinho moulding this team into winners. Number 2, I'm going with Everton. I think Carlo Ancelotti's doing a great job of building again his team. It shows already. Everton top of the Premier League. James Rodriguez and Alan, 2 phenomenal signings. James over the weekend, sensational, and Alan in midfield coming across from Napoli. Just solidifies that midfield. Such a classy ball player too. And it's an all Premier League affair on the winner side of things because Chelsea take my number 1 place. There's no question about it. They spent big throughout the summer and now I think Chelsea can challenge to win the Premier League this season. Timo Werner, Kai Havertz, Ziyech, Thiago Silva, Ben Chilwell as well, all off to decent starts under Frank Lampard and the Blues, so you absolutely are my winners. Where there's winners, there has to be losers. At number 3 for me, this may seem a little harsh, but I'm actually picking Juventus. As much as I love Weston McKennie, I don't look at the signings of him, Alvaro Morata, Artur, and I don't think they're any closer to winning a Champions League, and that has to be the goal for Juve considering they're going for their 10th straight Scudetto. Winning the Champions League is the holy grail and I'm not sure they're any closer right now, especially with Ronaldo a year further on. At 2, on the loser side of things, is Manchester United. Just meh from Man United again. For a club of their stature, they did nothing to make me think that they're taking a step forward at this point in time. Spurs even had a better window, and that's saying something. And at number 1, there's no question. For big teams in Europe, the absolute loser of this transfer window is, you should have guessed it by now, Valencia. No signings. None. And you say bye-bye to Ferran Torres, your young academy product who was there since he was 7 years of age, who is sensational. He goes to Man City. You say goodbye to Rodrigo, he signs for Leeds. You say goodbye to Danny Parejo and Francis Coquelin. 4 absolute stars for that team over the past few years and 4 players who you let go on the cheap as well. Valencia, you're my biggest loser. Edinson Cavani to Manchester United. My thoughts. Sure, why not? What have you got to lose at this point, Man United? He's a 33-year-old that's been available on a free transfer since July. This is your deadline day move. This just smacks of panic for me. It smacks of a lack of organisation at Manchester United, and it's no real surprise, and take nothing away from Edinson Cavani. The guy is incredibly lean, he's always naturally fit, and he's a young 33 in my mind. I think he can lead the line for Man United and do an absolutely brilliant job, but don't tell me that it was always the plan, because it simply wasn't. Man United have shipped 9 goals at home in 2 Premier League games. Defence should have been the main priority for them. This smacks more of a Falcao type signing, but you know what? I still think he'll work out and Cavani will score goals at Old Trafford. Alright guys, time to love you and leave you. As always, head to www.internationalchampionscup.com for all the latest wonderful content we have for you. Shows like The Fixture with Meg Linehan and much more. Remember, get ready to vote guys. We've got a big one coming up here in the United States of America and it's important that we all have our say. We'll do it all again next week. For me, Kevin Egan, and our classy team, ciao ciao.